At approximately 7:15, emergency responders were dispatched to the following rupture of a tank containing white liquor at the facility. Multiple agencies from across the region responded immediately and continued to operate on scene. The incident is stable, but it is in recovery phase. Recovery efforts remain underway at the facility. Hazardous materials personnel and fire crews continue working closely with the facility staff to secure the area and to support the ongoing operations. At this time, officials have identified no immediate threat to the surrounding community, and we're still asking the public to avoid the area while we're still in the recovery phase. There were multiple critical injuries, and patients were transported to hospitals in Longview and throughout the Vancouver-Portland area. We can also confirm there were fatalities related to the incident. We are not confirming or giving the information on their names until their families have been notified. At this time, there are also individuals who remain unaccounted for as crews recover and continue the recovery and accountability operations. One firefighter was also injured during the response, and he has since been treated and released at our Longview Hospital. No identifying information will be released until all the family notifications have been completed, like I said. This is a unified response. It's been coordinated through the City of Longview Fire Department, Cowlitz 2 Fire and Rescue, the Cowlitz County the Cowlitz County Sheriff's Office, Regional Hazardous Materials Teams, and Medics Ambulance. Nippon Dynawave personnel remain on scene and have been instrumental in our partner agencies. So this is a tragic incident for our community. Our thoughts remain with the victims, their families, the co-workers, and everyone who has been impacted by it. Additional information will be released as it becomes verified and available. At this time, I'd like to give the rest of this to Fire Chief Scott Goldstein from Cowlitz 2 Fire and Rescue.
The Nippon Dynawave site, as well as the other industrial areas here along the Columbia River, are an industrial response area which is done in partnership with Longview Fire and Cowlitz 2 Fire Rescue. Our units responded jointly this morning and assisted with the fire suppression activities, hazardous materials, emergency medical response, and the scene coordination. As Battalion Chief Gorsuch identified, this is white liquor. It is a chemical mixture of sodium hydroxide, sodium sulfide, and disodium carbonate that is used in the paper making process. The incident of this scale requires strong coordination between the agencies and the county, as that's what remains ongoing. As we identified, the scene remains stable. Crews from our agencies have looked at the hazardous materials component as well as the structural concerns. That is why we are saying the incident is now stable. The family support process has been coordinated through the AWPPW union officials and Nippon Dynawave. We ask that everyone respect the privacy of the families during this difficult time. Incident operations remain on site, and we anticipate that to take for several hours and maybe through the overnight period. Our next planned communication update will be 7 p.m. this evening. I will take questions at this time.
How many injuries and how many fatalities?
Unknown number of fatalities at this moment. As we said, we have confirmed that there are fatalities, but the exact number is undetermined. Injuries. 10 personnel were transported from the site. As Chief Gorsuch identified, one of those was a firefighter, so that was 9 personnel on site plus 1 firefighter transported.
Can you tell us the extent of those injuries? How bad?
Wide range of injuries.
More life-threatening as well?
From critical, severe to minor.
Were all those injured and who died workers at the plant?
No, as we identified, 1 firefighter injured. The other 9 were members of the facility.
And those who died?
As I said, we're not identifying any information pertaining to that.
You've said recovery effort. Does that suggest that you're still looking for victims and fatalities at the scene?
We have looked through the site and are looking at assisting the Nippon staff as well as state agencies in the next documentation process.
I know you said people are still missing. Do you have a ballpark idea of how many may be missing?
We have information on that, but we're not releasing that information in conjunction with the Cowlitz County Sheriff's Office, as they are operating this as the lead law enforcement agency.
Can you explain more, like, what was the cause of the incident with the white liquor?
Unknown at this time.
Was there
We're
ever
dealing
any-
with life safety concerns and incident stabilization at this point. That will come in the hours and days to come.
What would you say to people who are concerned about the chemicals involved in this, who maybe live nearby, who are worried about this and living so close in the air?
So the industrial sites here along the Columbia River are very well established and have great safety protocols. The concern is understood, but is one that we said from the very beginning was not a concern to the neighbors in the community around.
Has your
Just the
department
vol-
responded to other fires or chemical incidents at the facility?
So I'm going to take 2 more questions and then see if you have anything for the sheriff's office, and then we'll go others. Yes, Nippon Dynawave, as well as the other chemical or other industrial facilities here, are agencies that we train with extensively, train with routinely, and respond to medical emergencies, fire emergencies, and situations there. Do not have any specific numbers.
How big is the tank and what was the volume of this spill?
Okay.
The initial information is it was roughly an 80,000 gallon tank that was roughly 60% full.
These are,
Do you have
Okay.
information on
2 more.
how many people were working there this morning?
I do not have that information.
these are people in your community. You probably know some of these folks who work there. What is this like for your folks to have to respond to something in a relatively smaller community?
So as you outline, the people who are responders here have friends and relatives that work on site. It is something that is impactful, and we have support networks to support the workers as well as the emergency responders as we continue to help each other through this critical day. Jordan, you have anything? Anything for Sheriff's Office?
So people
Okay.
are at Legacy Emmanuel and Peace Health. Are there other hospitals there?
They're throughout the.
For me to outline where they're at, it would be inaccurate. We know where we transported them, but from that point on, we don't know where they have been retransferred for advanced care. So that's why we know they're at St. John here in town and other area hospitals throughout the Vancouver, Portland area.
How many crews responded?
The number of crews was significant. The resources were Cowlitz 2 Fire Rescue, as well as Longview Fire Department and Medics Ambulance Service. We had support from Castle Rock Fire District 6 and Fire District 5 assisting with area coverage while we were here.
You just
And-
talked about. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you just talked about the initial response, kind of getting there. What do you guys see? What do you guys look for?
The initial response was for an explosion with injured parties. Our first priority is life safety. Second priority is incident stabilization. That's what we did for the first periods of time. And then identifying and supporting the incident stabilization to understand what our risks are, as well as the number of personnel that were in the area.
Have you guys ever dealt with white liquor before?
It's one of the things that we train with the Nippon staff frequently, as well as the other facilities here along the industrial area, correct.
If it was 60% full, why was there a rupture? What caused this?
That is too early for us to know that. I'm going to say one more question, working off this side.
I don't know if this is for the sheriff's office or who, but correct me if I'm wrong. I believe there was an industrial fire at the same site last summer regarding some rail or train repair shop, and now there's this. Is that going to prompt any sort of investigation into the safety at this facility or anything like that?
So you are correct. There was a fire here last summer. That fire was at a very different part of this facility, not one that was operated by Nippon. When you talk about this facility, there are multiple companies inside the area, and that is where site-specific gets detailed. The fire was at Patriot Rail, and that was not Nippon facility. Okay,
Can
so
you
that's
talk about the dangers of white liquor?
I
Like
cannot
what
at
makes
this,
it dangerous?
I
What-
cannot at this time. Okay, I
Chief, would you
said
mind,
last question. I'll get your question, and then we're
Can
done.
authorities not confirm the number of fatalities because they still don't know how many people are missing or unaccounted for?
We have coordination with the facility staff, and we know a number of personnel, and we're still working to identify that. That's a combination effort with facility staff, the sheriff's office, and fire rescue.
What does the search
Okay.
look like for missing people?
Again, we'll be back with information or here at 7 o'clock.